All right, everybody, peace. Welcome to the Started Body Basketball Show. Wherever or however you're listening, we are so grateful to have you with us. As you guys know, I'm your host, Sean Cottle, and we have got a wonderful show for you today, guys. The NBA graced us with its presence again last night with the start of opening night. We had two highly touted Western Conference matchups between the Warriors and the Suns, as well as the Lakers and the Nuggets. And we're recapping both of those games and what we saw and what both of those games could possibly represent for all four teams moving forward. And we're also going to be discussing Giannis Antetokounmpo recently signing his extension with the Milwaukee Bucks. We're going to be covering all of that and then some in this newest episode, guys. But before we get started, if you haven't already, be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well, so you guys can see updates on all of our latest content that we post daily. Be sure to follow us on Patreon as well. You can do so by going to patreon.com, click on the search bar, and type in Started Body Show. That way you can get access to all of our exclusive content that we post daily. And if you'd like to support our network and our company, you can do so by following the link in the ticker below. StreamElements.com/StartedBodyShow/tip. Once again, it's StreamElements.com/StartedBodyShow/tip. None of this is possible without you guys as fans. So we're just so grateful and honored for all the love and support that you show us, because it's an honor and privilege to share with you all our thoughts and our platform and our insight, not only in the world of basketball, but also on the world of various other sports and just topics in general on how we move about this life. So we're just grateful to share all that with you. So that being said, let's go ahead and get started, guys. So like I said, opening night last night for the NBA. Huge Western Conference matchup between the Warriors and the Suns to start out the season. As you guys know, the Suns beat the Warriors on the road by a score of 108-104. Watching the game, biggest takeaway from that game, what I saw, is that both teams are still a little, still a little rusty. And I said that because of how physical the game was getting. I could tell guys were starting to get frustrated during the game on both sides, both on Phoenix and Golden State. Lots of missed transition baskets, poor transition execution, poor transition defense, a lot of offensive rebounds given up by both sides. So you could tell it was just a little bit. It was a little bit sloppy play. You could tell, like I said, guys are still getting their rhythm back in his first game of the season, so you don't expect too much. But I was extremely impressed with what I saw out of the chemistry of Golden State, particularly their ball movement and how the ball did not stick. Golden State did a great job of, like I said, having a lot of ball movement, a lot of rotation, a lot of swings to the ball. And if we just look at the box score, let's look at it. So Golden State, Kevon Looney had 7 points. Andrew Wiggins had 10 points. Chris Paul had 14 points and 9 assists. Steph Curry had 27 points and 5 rebounds. And Klay Thompson had 15 points and 7 rebounds. John Kuminga came off the bench and had 12 points and 6 rebounds. Dario Saric had 7 points and 7 rebounds off the bench. Moses Moody had 11 points and 3 rebounds off the bench. Gary Payton II had 3 steals, 2 rebounds, 2 assists coming off the bench, plus minus of 15 as well, by the way. So there's a lot of balanced scoring within Golden State, which I said they did a great job of rotating the ball, moving the ball, great movement. And I was impressed with how Chris Paul was able to fit into Golden State's system, especially playing alongside not only Steph Curry but also with Klay Thompson. And what Chris Paul being on the court with Steph Curry, what it reiterates and what it represents is the difference between what a point guard was once considered compared to what a point guard is considered now today. Something we often talk about is that Steph Curry is not a true point guard. He's just labeled as a point guard. But either way, in my opinion, I think he's still the second greatest point guard of all time, behind Magic Johnson. However, the traditional definition of a point guard that's more akin to what Chris Paul represents and how he plays. And it shows that when you have two basketball players who have a high level of IQ, they're able to play together. And that's why you get someone like a Chris Paul, who has shown time and time again, because of his play style and his high level basketball IQ, he has been able to adapt to every situation, every play style, every offense that he's been in. From the Clippers, obviously, to Houston. Remember, we all thought that Houston wouldn't work with him and James Harden. And then he goes to Oklahoma City, works with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Then he goes to Phoenix and it works with Devin Booker. And now he's here in Golden State. And I know it's only been one game. However, I was impressed with what I saw. Steph Curry, obviously, he played a lot of the two at Davidson, and obviously he shoots the ball so well and he moves so well off the ball. He's able to play the off ball, play the two. He moved well off the ball, and you can tell that Klay Thompson's put on a lot of size. He's put on some muscle from compared to last season. So it looks like he's been physically preparing to play more of the three, which tells me that they might be moving either Draymond or Andrew Wiggins to the six-man rotation, to the six-man spot, and having either of them come off the bench. And you guys know, if you listen to our shows during the summertime, I was a proponent of Chris Paul coming off the bench, because now he gets to play that second unit, and now he gets to score and attack against the second unit of other teams, and then you still allow Chris Paul to close out games, and then you just, like I say, you have him start by coming off the bench. But what I see that Steve Kerr and Golden State wants to do is they want to alleviate as much pressure from Steph Curry as possible, and that means that, okay, Steph, we move you off the ball, and we put Chris Paul at the point. And we know that they used to do that in the first iteration of their dynasty, and they would allow Draymond to run the point a lot, or that point forward kind of position, and initiate the offense. And it looks like they want to do that again, but with just a better version in Chris Paul. And it works. Everyone gets easier shots now, because now what happens is Klay Thompson, Steph Curry don't have to worry about creating shots for themselves. They just, they can just come off of pin downs and staggers, and they can move out the ball. And because both of them are so efficient at moving out the ball, it allows both of them to get open, and that just opens up more passing lanes for the rest of the guys. I mean, how many times did we see dump downs and lobs and slip passes to Wiggins and Looney and Moody and Saric on off of a stagger? How many times did Klay Thompson and Steph come off a stagger, and then they give a slip pass to the cutting, like I said, Wiggins or Looney or Kuminga or Moody, and they're wide open for a layup, because now teams, they have to double off of those staggers and those pin downs, because you got great shooters in Curry and Thompson coming off of that, and that just leaves a slip pass open for the guy that just set the ball that just set the pin down screen. And that's why Golden State's offense looks so efficient, because you're just adding another dynamic by now. You're allowing those shooters, Steph and Klay, to come off those pin downs, and you have a great point guard and Chris Paul, who can make those reads down and give it to them, give it to Steph and Klay coming off that pin down, or he can read it early if the defense overplays, and then he can just give the lob to the screener that just slipped. So it adds another dimension to their offense, and I'm extremely excited to see them play together, because now that I've seen it, I do now think that Chris Paul is going to be starting, especially after I saw Klay Thompson's physicality and how he's muscled himself up compared to last year. I do think Chris Paul will be the starter, and that is something that surprised me, but I'm looking forward to seeing. And if we look at Phoenix, I was extremely impressed with Phoenix's physicality on the defensive end. Obviously, bringing Frank Vogel in, he's a defensive-minded coach. We saw what he did with Indiana. We saw what he did with Orlando for a bit. We saw what he did, obviously, with the Lakers and LeBron James. He won them a championship in the bubble. be it bubble championships. There's a huge asterisk next to it, but still counts nonetheless. You can tell that he has instilled a level of defensive intensity with Phoenix, and we just see how much contact they create, especially the on-ball defender when they're guarding the screen. They're giving much more bump to that ball handler that they're defending coming with that ball screen, and that's not something they did last year under Monty Williams because that wasn't a focal point. But you can tell that Frank Vogel is instilling a lot of defensive principles within those guys, and it's starting to show. And we saw that Devin Booker obviously is taking another step to his game. He had 32 points with 8 assists and 6 rebounds. Grayson Allen did not score, only shot the ball 6 times, but Yusuf Nurkic had 14 points and 14 rebounds. Jonathan Kogi had 17 points and 5 rebounds. And Durant only had 18 points and 11 rebounds. Didn't have a great shooting night, shot 7-22 from the field, but how often is that going to happen? Devin Eubanks had 4 points and 7 rebounds. Yoti Watanabe had 8 points and 4 rebounds. Nasir Little had 3 points and 1 rebound. Eric Gordon played phenomenally as well, coming off the bench at 10 points and 4 rebounds. And Jonathan Goodwin had 2 points and 4 rebounds. So if we look, we look at Phoenix's stat line. Listen, the only person that shot the ball particularly well was Okogie. Nurkic shot 5 of 8, which is great. Okogie shot 7 of 9. If you can get 14 and 17 points out of both those guys respectively, that's a great night. You live with that, right? That's great. But 18 points out of Kevin Durant, how often is that going to happen, right? And Devin Booker shot the ball extremely well. And we saw the biggest cause for concern Phoenix going into the season was their depth, right? And their role players' ability to score. I saw that Jonathan Kogi has worked tremendously on his shot, particularly his shot from the corner, because he knows that's the shot he's going to get a lot this season. You can tell that was his focus point during his offseason training, because he looks much more fluid shooting off the catch. He looked much more fluid attacking off the one dribble rip through, and so did Devin Eubanks, and so did Watanabe. And Eric Gordon looked much more fluid. He looks healthy now, especially attacking downhill, creating that contact, something that he's always been good at doing ever since his days in New Orleans. So having him come off the bench, play the point guard spot a little bit, obviously just alleviates pressure off of Devin Booker. They don't have a true point guard, which is my biggest cause for concern, and that would be the only thing that would worry me. But remember, this is all without Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal didn't even play, so I'm excited to see the other dimension that Phoenix can add to their game. But I was impressed with their physicality, and I was extremely impressed with their rebounding as well. Listen, they out-rebounded Golden State 60-49, so out-rebounded them by 12. But we understand that also Golden State is not the biggest team, so this was expected of Phoenix. But listen, this is a Phoenix team that doesn't have a lot of low post interior presence as well. Listen, they got Nurkic, but Nurkic isn't known for his defense. He's known for his offensive capabilities. And one thing I was impressed with Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant did a great job of rebounding. Like I said, he had 11 rebounds, and it looked like Kevin Durant put on a little bit of muscle mass as well this past offseason, perhaps in preparation for him having to play more of the 4, which is what he did last night, which is why he was able to have so many more rebounds. Watching this, you can tell what guys worked on this offseason, and they worked on things that they were going to be doing, and you can tell the guys are already committed to being in their role, and that's something I'm impressed with. So it'll be exciting to see how both these teams move forward over the course of the season, but I was impressed with what I saw from both teams as well. Extremely impressed with what I saw from both teams, particularly Golden State in terms of their chemistry this early on. But listen, that's what Chris Paul is known. Every team that Chris Paul has been traded to or moved to, they always start really well. And listen, I know Chris Paul gets a lot of flack for his relationship with his teammates and his whatever. But when he plays, listen, he plays well, and his team plays well. His teammates play well also. So that's all you can ask for. And like I said, I'm impressed with Phoenix's physicality, their ability to control the boards, even with the lack of low post presence. But let me know what you guys think in the chat room. What did you guys think about what you saw last night? Did anything stand out to you guys? Was anything a surprise? Let me know what you guys think. Leave your thoughts in the chat room. But in our next segment, guys, we are going to be discussing the matchup between the Lakers and the Nuggets. So be sure to stick around for that, guys. You're not going to miss it. We'll be right back. All right, everybody, welcome back. In case you missed the first segment of our show, we just discussed the opening night matchup between the Warriors and Suns and what we saw from that, and some positives that we saw from both teams, and what we expect to see from both teams moving forward over the course of the season. And in this segment, guys, we're going to be discussing another opening night matchup between the Lakers and the Sun. Sorry, Lakers and the Nuggets. My apologies. As you guys know, the defending champion Nuggets kicked off the season last night with a victory over the LA Lakers. Denver Nuggets won by a score of 119 to 107. Denver was led by no surprise here, right? Another balanced attack. Aaron Gordon had 15 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists. Michael Porter Jr. had 12 points, 12 rebounds. Jokic had 29 points, 13 rebounds, 11 assists, another double-double. Jamal Murray had 21 points and 6 assists and 2 rebounds. KCP had 20 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 3 steals. Reggie Jackson came off the bench and had 8 points and 3 rebounds. And Chris Braun had 5 points and 3 rebounds and 2 assists. So, it was a balanced attack for Denver, and that's nothing new. That's nothing new with Denver. If we look at the Lakers, obviously Austin Reeves had 14 points and 8 rebounds, 4 assists. D'Angelo Russell had 11 points, 7 assists, 4 rebounds. Taurean Prince had 18 points and 3 assists. LeBron James had 21 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists. And Anthony Davis had 17 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists. However, all of his points came in the first half. He did not score in the second half. And if I'm the Lakers, that is a cause for concern for me, because something we talked about before the season started was that LeBron James can no longer be the best player on a championship team. LeBron James isn't at a point in his career where he can be the best player on the championship team, which means that now Anthony Davis has to elevate himself and add dimension to his game to where he can be the best player on the championship team, both in terms of his skill and in terms of his leadership as well. And that was the biggest question mark for Anthony Davis coming into the season, and honestly throughout the course of his career, was can he actually be a number one option? And I told you guys that at this point in time, no, but I think he has the potential to be, but right now he's not. And less about his skill, but more so about his leadership qualities and his consistency and his level of play. And this is so ironic and coincidental, more so coincidental than ironic, that Anthony Davis started out the season like this by not scoring in the second half, because it really just answers and validates the concerns and questions that people had about his ability to be a primary option. And this is not going to work for the Lakers. Anthony Davis only scoring 17 points, not scoring at all in the second half, is not going to work for the Lakers, and is not going to be conducive for them winning a championship, because you're asking too much of LeBron at this point in his career to be the primary option. It's not possible. You can't do it. This is why you traded for Anthony Davis, because when LeBron was ready to segue out and transition from the primary to secondary option, you had someone with enough talent and athleticism and capability to say, okay, here's our number one option. But now what we're seeing is Anthony Davis can't do that yet. He's not capable of doing that. He's not capable of being the primary option yet. And so what happens is, the longer it takes for Anthony Davis to become the primary option and become the best player on the championship team, the longer the Lakers are going to struggle, and they will struggle if this is the case. And there's a lot of talent though on the Lakers. I just named out the starting five, but Rui Hachimura still came off the bench, had 6 points and 3 rebounds. Christian Wood played well, 7 points. Cam Reddish played well, also 7 points and 4 rebounds. Jackson Hayes played well on the defensive end. Gabe Vincent played well, also had 6 points and 2 assists and 1 rebound. What I look for though in the Lakers, first of all, I still think that they should have kept Schroeder instead of re-signing D'Lo. I know financially it was easier to keep D'Lo, but I do think Schroeder was a better option, and I still think he is a better option. But I understand financially why you had to keep D'Lo. I think you want to use Gabe Vincent more. I would play Gabe Vincent more. I would play Gabe Vincent more because it adds another shooting threat for the Lakers, which is something that last night even they struggled with. They shot 10-29 for 3-point line, which is right at 34%, which isn't terrible, but when you're going up against the Nuggets team that shot 41% from the 3-point line, it's hard to contest with that. And the Lakers, they did out rebound the Nuggets though by 2. The Lakers had 44 rebounds, the Nuggets had 42, which isn't necessarily too bad. It's not it's good. It's something the Lakers do well. They've always been good at rebounding. But like I said, the big thing right here is Anthony Davis not scoring in the second half. Anthony Davis has to take that next step in order to show the Lakers that he can be the best player on the championship team. Because now what happens is you start thinking to yourself, okay, if Anthony Davis can be the best player on the championship team, what do we do now moving forward once LeBron leaves? Do we scratch and rebuild, or do we trade and go hunting for a guy that can be the best player on the championship team? These are some questions the Lakers might have to start thinking about. I know it's very early, first game of the season, but I was not listen. And I know I don't want to be someone that harps too much on one performance. But you're only as good as your last performance. You're only as good as your last performance. And the beauty of that, though, is you get to update your resume again in 2 nights. But LeBron James cannot be the best player on the championship team at this point in his career. So the Lakers need Anthony Davis to step up and be more consistent with his level of play, but also step up in terms of his leadership quality and how he carries himself. Not how he carries himself, but how he leads his teammates. And that's with consistency, that's with communication, but consistency with his level of play is huge. It's a big one. But let me know what you guys think in the chat room. What do you guys think about this performance right here? Did anything surprise you? Did anything stand out to you? And are we reading too much into it? Let me know what you guys think. Leave your thoughts in the chat room. But in our next segment, guys, we are just going to be discussing the recent news of Giannis Antetokounmpo re-signing that extension and what that actually means for Milwaukee moving forward. So be sure to stick around for that, guys. You're not going to miss it. We'll be right back. Alright, welcome back. In case you missed the first 2 segments of our show, we just recapped the matchup between the Warriors and the Suns, as well as the Lakers and the Nuggets. And in this last segment, guys, we're just going to be discussing the news of Giannis Antetokounmpo signing that extension with the... Sorry about that. With the Milwaukee Bucks. So, for those of you who haven't heard, Giannis Antetokounmpo signed an extension with the Milwaukee Bucks for 3 years, $186 million. And most people now think that this all but solidifies Giannis's future with the Milwaukee Bucks. It means that he will be staying with the Milwaukee Bucks over the duration of his career, or at least until Damian Lillard retires. But listen, something that I've realized and I've learned about basketball, being a professional athlete and seeing how that profession works, especially at the NBA level, is that one is strictly business, and you should not be loyal to any one organization, especially since they're not as loyal to you. So, knowing what I know about the situation, this doesn't guarantee that Giannis isn't going to leave. This doesn't even guarantee that Giannis is going to stay in Milwaukee until Damian Lillard retires. And because Giannis has consistently expressed interest in exploring free agency, and I still think that's going to be the case at some point in time, even if it's after a 3-year extension. And don't be surprised if Giannis asks for a trade if things don't go well for Milwaukee, because now it's championship or bust, right? So anything that's not championship, unfortunately, will now be considered a failure or a learning experience for Milwaukee. So if they don't win a championship this season and it becomes apparent that they don't have the pieces to win a championship, I mean, don't be surprised if Giannis asks for a trade. And there will be a lot of teams chomping at the bit if Giannis does ask for a trade. And that option is still on the table. Just because he signs an extension does not mean that option is no longer available. So Giannis signing this extension to me doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. But the biggest indicator for me will be how they perform in the playoffs and if they're able to win the championship. That will be a bigger indicator for me on whether Giannis decides to stay or not. Not him signing this extension. This extension means very little to me. But let me know what you guys think in the chat room. And people think that, because people first were saying, okay, well, Damian Lillard getting traded to Milwaukee now all but solidifies Giannis' future with Milwaukee. He'll stay there for the remainder of his career. No, it doesn't. It does not. Because you can still not win a championship with Damian Lillard. Very much so. I don't think they're the favorites. And then signs an extension. Listen, that doesn't mean anything. The biggest determining factor for Giannis staying in Milwaukee will be winning championships. And if he doesn't do that, he will be leaving, whether by trade or in free agency. And that's the bottom line to it. But let me know what you guys think in the chat room. Share your thoughts on it. Do you guys think that now, with Giannis signing his extension, he's now all but solidified his future in Milwaukee? Let me know what you guys think. Leave your thoughts in the chat room. But that's it for our show for today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. It was a wonderful show. If you haven't already, be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well, so you guys can stay up to date on all of our latest content that we post daily. Be sure to follow us on Patreon as well. You can do so by going to patreon.com, clicking on the search bar, and typing in "Sorry to Bother You Show." That way you can get access to all of our exclusive content that we post daily. And if you'd like to support our network and our company, you can do so by following the link in the ticker below. It's streamelements.com/sorry-to-bother-you-show/tip. Once again, it's streamelements.com/sorry-to-bother-you-show/tip. We'll be back again same time tomorrow, guys, at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with our college football show. So, guys, until then, continue to stay safe, be vigilant, make smart decisions, and peace.